Hello folks, Alex here. This is Alex Unabridged, and today it's time to share the haul from my big birthday book bonanza. So welcome back to the channel. Yes, I got into Manchester. I had a wonderful day in Manchester, hitting all of the bookshops, of which there are quite a few, and came back with a rather satisfying haul, shall we say. So I shall go through what I got today. I chipped into the city. It's about 25 minutes on the train into Manchester from where I live. So I started at the far end of Manchester, had a nice little wander through. It was very lovely sunny day. Had a wander through the gay village and through some of the bits of Manchester where some of the nice buildings are, and went straight over to a massive Waterstones that we have in Manchester, the biggest bookshop in the north. 3 floors of bookish joy. They've got, everything and anything in terms of genres. So I had a quick look at the new stuff, books new out. Managed to get my almost daily jump scare of a shark on a front cover, and then retreated to the upstairs sci-fi, fantasy and horror heaven section and spent quite a long time in there. And then up to the art section as well. After a quick trip over to the shopping mall that we've got in Manchester, the Arndale, I grabbed myself a burger from a fantastic burger joint. So then I hit some of the independent bookshops, like Queer Lit. Most of our independent bookshops are in the northern quarter of the city. And yeah, Queer Lit is a small but very well stocked LGBT plus focused bookshop. And then went to the other LGBT plus bookshop, which is the Gay Pride shop in the famous Affleck's Palace. And then once I'd finished there, I popped to my local comic book shop, which is Travelling Man, to treat myself to some manga. So after I think about 4 or 5 hours in Manchester, I beat a retreat back to my quiet little corner of the countryside, and had a good pore over my new books. So what did I buy? Lots is the answer to that. Let's start with what I got in that massive Waterstones over on Deansgate, where I could have spent an absolute fortune. So yes, the first one is the Shadow Glass, which was one that I'd never heard of, that was just sat on a fantasy table. And it caught my eye, the cover caught my eye, and then the description definitely caught my eye. So it reads on the back, director Bob Corman poured his heart and soul into The Shadow Glass, a mesmeric fantasy film populated by puppets. It flopped, turning Bob into a self-pitying alcoholic. Jobless and mourning his late father, Jack returns home, a place overflowing with movie memorabilia and painful memories. But Jack's world is thrown into chaos when the puppets in the attic start talking. So begins a desperate quest to save London from the evil creatures of his childhood stories. And it's kind of described as, sort of an homage, a mix, etc. of The Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, The Never-Ending Story. So yeah, that's kind of my childhood, those films. And so yeah, I kind of thought, yeah, why not? I will give it a go. It's also the structure of it looks quite interesting. There's kind of lots of bits of sort of script and things like that in it, so it's not one that I'd want as an audiobook, definitely. It's kind of quite sort of differently formatted inside. You kind of got little sort of sections like that, little articles, little kind of reviews, I guess that pertain to the film that was made, you know, in the story, transcripts from interviews, things like that. So yeah, so I thought, you know, give that one a go. So next up is one that I will be reading this month, and that is the manga To Strip the Flash, which I talked about in my TBR for April, because this is one that I'm reading for Trans Girl April, by it's the genre fiction by a trans man that I'm reading this for, and so this is by Oto Toda. So if you want more information about that, I will link to the TBR section where I talk about this. But yes, so I was going to get this as a digital copy originally, and then they had this, and I really liked. I like with manga and graphic novels, things like that. I do prefer them in hard copy, so I decided to pick this up. Next up, got another one that's a graphic novel, and another one that is for Trans Girl April, and that is Fine, a comic about gender. Again, I will link to the section in my TBR that talks about this. But yes, again, I was going to get this as a digital potentially, and then saw it and kind of looked at it. I really like sort of the art style of this. It's really nice and warm. Yeah, I kind of thought, no, I want it proper. I want it big. I want it at full size. And I want to be able to flick through it and kind of refer back to it and stuff like that. So yes, I decided to go for a hard copy of that. Next up, this was quite a find because I did have some Philip K. Dick on my list. I wanted to kind of expand my Philip K. Dick collection because I haven't got much. Downstairs I've only got Lies Inc. And in the past I have had A Scanner Darkly. And for some reason, I don't know where that copy's gone. I think I lent it to someone and never got it back, unfortunately. And I'm kind of been thinking about Philip K. Dick a bit more recently, and I kind of like, no, I want to read some more. Yeah, and I found this, 5 Great Novels, Philip K. Dick, which has got The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, Martian Time Slip, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, Ubik, and A Scanner Darkly in it. Yeah, for the price of essentially 1 or 2 books, I've got 5, and a really nice. I do like a good big chunky compendium. So yeah, I can read A Scanner Darkly again, which I really want to do. And it's a long time since I've read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I don't really remember much about it. I remember the film Blade Runner much better, and the others I don't know. So yes, this one was quite a find. And this one was as soon as I saw this, I was like, gotta buy it. And then we're into a couple of art books, which I happened to see just that they've got some kind of, what do they call them? Remainders, I think they called them. Stuff that they were kind of, they've got a few bits left and they were trying to sell in Waterstones. And they were massively reduced because art books are expensive. That's why I don't generally have that many. And I saw this one, and this is total geek fest for an artist. But it's, I don't care. And this is paper. Material, medium, and magic. And this is just, it's all about paper. Told you, geek fest. And it's, I like the fact that it's got no full spine. It's, it's perfect bound, but it's open, so you can see all the colours and stuff like that in it. I do like that. And yeah, this has got all sorts of stuff in it, stuff about paper making, finishing, art, with paper, on paper, literature, paper is medium, cover papers, end papers, bookmaking, pop-ups, Bauhaus, kind of paper playing cards, white space, money, everything, that kind of stuff. Loo roll, stuff about loo roll, yay. Laser cutting, it's just everything you could possibly want to know about paper. geek. But I will very much enjoy looking through this. This will be a reference book for me as much as anything else, but I will actually sit down and read this, I think, because it's a really nice book. Next up, and the last one that I got in Waterstones, is another art book, and that is The Cindy Sherman Effect. This one was a bit of a find for me because I'm a huge fan of Cindy Sherman's work. I studied some of it at university, and I had a book then at university that I think I had on like perpetual loan from the university library, and never owned a copy of it. And when I came to try and find a copy of it to buy a few years later, I think it must be out of print because it was wildly expensive, and it still is wildly expensive. And so I've not had any like books on Sherman's work in my art collection, and so I saw this and had to have it. And yeah, I love Sherman's work. This kind of covers various different periods of her kind of body of work, and you know, sort of little bits of kind of commentary on it, things like that. Yeah, Sherman's work deals with gender a lot, and sort of the representation of the roles of women, and the male gaze and femininity and all that kind of stuff, and it's quite some of it's parody, some of it's a bit more kind of in your face, shall we say, but it's all fascinating. So yeah, I'm very, very glad to have that now to peruse and remind myself of some of the pieces that Sherman's made that really kind of sparked something for me. So where did I go next? Oh yes, the shopping mall, the Arndale Centre, and I just popped in to the Works there, which is a discount bookshop, mainly to get some art materials. Actually, I just needed some cheap canvas boards for experimenting with some painting stuff, and they sell books in there, so I found some books. And these were all ones that I just kind of, well, two of them were ones that I'd kind of seen a while ago and had on my wish list. One of them is Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, who is, I believe, a trans author, and the main character is a young trans guy. I nearly put this one on my list for Trans Girl April, but decided to save it for another occasion. So I'm glad I've got myself a copy, and now I can read that whenever I like. And the other one is Volume 1 of Heartstopper, which I've never seen. I've not seen the Netflix show and not read anything, but my niece, she loves it. So I thought I would get this. It was extremely cheap compared to where I'd seen it elsewhere. And so I thought, yeah, I'll give it a try, and then it's something else I can talk to Gracie about. So yeah, so managed to get myself a copy of that. And then the other thing was something that I saw. This is by an artist that I like, but it's a colouring book, and that is Alien Worlds, Colour Cosmic Kingdoms, by Kirby Rosanis, who is a pen and ink artist. And my wife I bought my wife one of his colouring books a while ago, and was kind of a bit jealous of the stuff in it. So yes, I've got myself my own one, and I really like this one actually. Some of the alien worlds in this are cracking. So this should keep me occupied for quite some time while I listen to my audiobooks. So yes. Something a bit arty to do that's not too taxing. So that was the Works. Then I popped to some of the independent bookshops, and the first one was Queer Lit, which is a cracking little LGBT plus bookshop, and I had a nice chat with the fella in there, and found a copy of Gender Euphoria, which is one that, again, I nearly put on my Trans Girl April reading list, but I'm actually saving this for June, when I'm going to be doing a month of reading LGBTQ plus authors and books for Pride Month. So yeah, I've been wanting to read this one for ages, because I really want to read some stories of, you know, gender euphoria, basically. So yeah, glad to have a copy of that now. Then I popped to the gay pride shop in the famous Affleck's Palace in Manchester, and I could have spent hours in there. In fact, I did spend a lot longer than I anticipated, mainly because it's like a rabbit warren in there, and I could not find my way around. It's many years since I went in there, and it's a maze. It's fantastic, but it's a maze. But I finally found the gay pride shop, which is huge. They've got everything. They've got, you know, pin badges, patches, and flags and various things like that. Lots and lots of, you know, gay pride stuff, clothes, etc. And they've got a really good bookshop. And again, I could have spent a fortune in there, but I just got one, and this is because I saw this on the shelves. I was like, because I'd looked for this elsewhere and I couldn't find it anywhere, and it might be because I'm guessing it's an import. It's published by Algonquin. Algonquin Books of Chapel Hill. So yeah, and I had not found it anywhere else. But this was one that Peter over at Pensively Reading recommended in a comment on one of my other videos recently, and described it to me, and I kind of went, that sounds like something I need to read. It's I'll read a little bit of the blurb. It says, a queer book conservator finds a mysterious old love letter, setting off a search for the author who wrote it and a meaningful life beyond the binary in early 2000 New York City. So yeah, sounds right up my street, this one. So I'm really glad I found this, because as soon as Peter mentioned it, I was like, yeah, I need to read that. And I got a lovely little trans bookmark as well from the gay pride shop. Cracking shop, that. So yes. And then the final place that I went was to my local comic book shop, where again I could have spent a fortune, but restrained myself, and I finally picked up a copy of Uzumaki by Junji Ito. I've wanted this for ages. And this is about a town that gets taken over, invaded by spirals. Yeah, random. And by all accounts, you know, quite terrifying. Yeah, I've wanted to read this, and other Ito's work, other books by Ito as well. In fact, they had like a 3 for 2 on like all of his manga. And I really nearly bought 3, like this and Tomie and one of the other collections of kind of stories, of manga stories, but restrained myself. I will maybe go back and get more if I really like this. So yeah, so I'm really happy to finally have a copy of that. So that's all the books that I got in town in Manchester. The other thing that I ended up picking up when I was in Manchester, which was a bit of a not too much of an impulse, because I had thought about it beforehand, but yeah, it was, you know, it's a bit of a surprise that I found myself wanting one, and that is a Kindle. Basically, I'd got some video games to trade in at one of the, you know, the trade-in places. And got quite a bit of trading value for them. And there's no video games that I'm after at the moment. I've got so many. I've got a massive pile of shame that I need to work my way through. And I noticed they'd got Kindles, and decent ones as well. This is quite an old one. It's a Kindle Paperwhite 3. So it's like 2015, something like that. But I've been wanting to read a lot more stuff on Kindle. I have Kindle Unlimited, And I've been using my iPad, and I've got two problems with that. One is the screen is still quite reflective. But the main thing is that I use it throughout the day for my artwork. And I'm finding that, like, I'll use it through the day, and then I'll go downstairs of an evening and I'll kind of go, oh yeah, fancy reading a Kindle book, and go to my iPad and find that I've got like 10% battery and that it isn't going to last that long. So I'm trying to use my iPad for too many things. And, you know, it'd be nice to have something that's just easy and light, and I can just throw in my bag and, you know, kind of take out wherever with me, that I'm not worried about, you know, if it breaks or what have you, or I lose it or whatever. You know, the expense of losing an iPad is far greater than losing a second-hand Kindle. And just something just to have just for the ebooks. So I picked one of these up, second-hand. And so far, I've had a play with it and a read of it and stuff like that. So far, really impressed. Never had a Kindle before, you see. So yeah, love it so far. Hopefully will be a really good purchase, and will kind of help me get more reading done rather than waiting for my flipping battery to charge on my iPad. So yes. Right, there are two more books that I am waiting for, that are part of that kind of haul from my birthday penny spends. So when I get those, I will do a little insert into the video and show those off as well. Okay, so one of the ones that I bought online after seeing it in Waterstones, which has just arrived today in the post, is Bittersweet by Noma Bar. This is a huge collection of his work. He's a designer and illustrator, and he does some absolutely fantastic, it's deceptively simple, the sort of work that he does. It all uses geometric shapes, but it's all it's so, you know, it's colourful and clean lines, you know, playing with geometric shapes, playing with double meanings as well. You know, he uses a lot of double meanings in his work. You know, shapes within shapes, things like that. Steven Spielberg, you know, portraits, but it's all just really simple, really colourful. Lots of icons, symbols, all that kind of stuff. And it's just beautiful, beautiful work. And yeah, I absolutely love it. The colour work, everything. So yes, I'm very, very happy to have, oh, that's nice. Very, very happy to have a copy of this. This will keep me occupied for hours going through this, and this should as well, like some of my other art books that I've got this time, be a huge source of inspiration when it comes to my own work, because my own work tends to lean towards the simple geometric shapes and colour contrasts. So yes, that's one of my online purchases. So the final book that I am buying with my birthday pennies hasn't arrived, unfortunately, yet, but I want to just mention it as part of this haul now so I can get this video done and out. But that is Monstrilio by Gerardo Samano Cordova. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And I saw this on Troy's channel, Troy Tradup, and thought it sounded really intriguing. It's horror. I'll read you a little bit about what it's about. It's about a boy who transforms into a monster who tries to be a man, and the people who love him in every form he takes. Grieving mother Magos cuts out a piece of her deceased 11-year-old son Santiago's lung. Acting on fierce maternal instinct and the dubious logic of an old folk tale, she nurtures the lung until it gains sentience, growing into the carnivorous little Monstrilio she keeps hidden within the walls of her family's decaying Mexico City estate. Eventually, Monstrilio begins to resemble the Santiago he once was, but his innate impulses, though curbed by his biological and chosen family's communal care, threaten to destroy this fragile second chance at life. A thought-provoking meditation on grief, acceptance, and the monstrous sides of love and loyalty. Yeah, I was kind of very intrigued when I heard that, and did a little bit of my own kind of reading around it, because I think it must have been out in the US for a little while, maybe since March, and found some very, very good non-spoilery reviews. And then Troy posted a kind of a rave about it not that long ago, last week maybe. So I'll link to his video down below in case you want to know more and get kind of somebody's reaction to it and stuff like that. But yeah, he loved it. So so that was kind of, that sealed the deal for me. And I was like, yep, I need to read this most definitely. So I've had it on pre-order, but only for a few days. So yeah, I've got to wait for that, but I've got plenty of things to read in the meantime. So hopefully that will arrive by the end of the month, because I do want to read that quite quickly when I get it. So yes, so that is the final one that I bought for my birthday with my birthday money. But I will now hand you back to Alex from a few days prior to continue on with the last few books that were birthday gifts. So finally, I've got a few more of the things that I was given as gifts for my birthday. So first up are a few that I got from my sister. I basically gave her my World of Books wish list and said, you know, go nuts, because these are all second hand, and there's, you know, she can get more for her money if she wants on that. So the first one is The Cabin in the Woods, which is the official movie novelisation. I've not seen the movie. It intrigued me a lot in its concept, but I wasn't sure how scary it was, and so I didn't watch it because I'm not good with super scary movies. But yeah, I wanted to kind of, you know, see what it was all about. So this one will be saved for Garb August. This one seems like a perfect Garb August pick in terms of a horror movie novelisation. Then we have got one that I talked about quite recently, actually, in my songs tag video, and that is Space Opera. So if you want to know more about that, I will link to that section of the song tags video, and you can see what it's all about. But yeah, so this one I might save for an Adventures in Genre later in the year when I do sci-fi. But otherwise, this will probably just be a mood read. I'll just fancy something a bit bonkers and give it a go. Then we have got John Dies at the End by David Wong. This again is one that I've heard multiple good reports of, bonkers stuff, you know, horror stuff. And if you saw my my little mini haul video the other day, my kind of my week wrap up type thing, you know, I've just bought another David Wong, which is This Book is Full of Spiders. So I'm going to try and catch up with some of his stuff because it sounds right up my street. So yes, give that one a crack. And the final one from my sister is a graphic novel kind of collection, adaptations of M.R. James, Ghost Stories of an Antiquary. I love M.R. James stuff. And this has got 4 adaptations in it. It's got Canon Alberich's Scrapbook, Lost Hearts, The Mezzotint, which is my favourite, and The Ash Tree, which is also a very good short story. And they're all illustrated by different people as well, which is really nice. So yeah, I just happened to see this when I was browsing actually on World of Books. I like M.R. James. I like graphic novels. Why not, eh? So yeah, so lots of different illustrators, and you know, kind of quite nice colourful stuff in some bits, slightly more kind of scratchy stuff in others. Yeah, be interesting to see a very different take in terms of format on some M.R. James stuff. And then we get to the ones, to the books from my lovely wife, my lovely lady wife. These are the, you know, kind of special art books that I wouldn't buy for myself because they're a bit pricier, but they're nice to have as a gift. And the first one, these are both from a small press called Counterprint Books. The first one is Colour Clash. I have become a huge fan of very brightly coloured artwork and design. I never used to be. I quite like, you know, stuff that shouldn't work but does work. And I like stuff bright. And I like patterns and things like that, or bold colours. And so this was another browsing purchase. But this is all about those colour clashes, with examples from different, you know, sort of designers and design agencies. And it covers, you know, branding and posters and all that kind of stuff. And it is just, you know, kind of, I love this kind of like bold geometric style of like really just in your face colour. It makes me happy. It's, you know, it draws my eye and it makes me happy. And I'm trying to use it a bit more in my work. So yeah, it's like, you know, this is one that I will just pore over basically, and you know, drool over basically, and hopefully get some inspiration from, in terms of if I'm struggling with colour, because colour is something that I do struggle with as an artist, like picking colours, finding colours that work well together. If I'm struggling, I can flick through this and just, you know, soak it all in and see what I can come up with, see what people have managed to make work in the past. So that is the first one, Colour Clash. The second one is one that I have had on my list for yonks, ever since it was announced, basically, which was quite a while ago now. And that is this beautiful thing. Camille Walala is the artist, the designer, and it's called Taking Joy Seriously. And I love this because there was about 8 or 9 different covers you could pick from in terms of designs, and I went for this one because this sort of stuff is one of my absolute favourites. But basically, Walala is a French artist based in London, and her art is all about playful kind of colours, shapes, geometric patterns, but it's all done on a massive scale. So I mean, like, even like the end papers of this, I love. This is just a beautiful book, and it talks about her work and her, you know, what she's done as design and things like that. But it's, you know, some of the stuff that she's done is just, you know, she does buildings. She'll paint buildings in this sort of stuff, and it just lifts, I think, the mood immediately. Well, it does mine anyway. And she's worked with, you know, lots of different companies as well. She's done stuff with Lego, and, you know, she's done like mock kind of shops, things like that. You know, it's kind of, you know, she's done, I think they did like a whole, like Lego built like an entire house that she kind of decorated in her style and things like that. She's done a lot of kind of street art and also kind of, you know, sort of public space design in cities, things like that. And this is just, as I say, this is just a beautiful, beautiful book. And it's even got things like a beautiful little, get this round, a lovely little kind of inserted notebook type thing of like her process. You can see that, like, you know, sort of various things in there, about, you know, kind of her sketches and how her sketches become designs and things like that. And like, you know, for me as a designer and, you know, somebody whose design, I like my design to influence my art, but sometimes I find it difficult to kind of let it, and certainly process wise, there is a difference between my art process and my design process, and it's about marrying those two. I think this book is going to be like hugely inspiring, because as I say, it's just joyful. It's just really joyful, this one. So yeah, I'm waiting to do my top 10 art books until May, until I've had chance to have a proper look at some of the art books that I've got for my birthday. This one in particular, because I think this one has the potential to end up on that list. But it's new, so you know, I want a chance to go through my art collection, kind of look at all of that and all of the new stuff I've got, and come up with a decent list. So yes, that will come in May, when I've had chance to drool over the new stuff. So that is my haul. So I think I've done pretty damn well this birthday. I obviously will be getting some ebooks and stuff like that in the future. And there'll be little bits and pieces of hauls, second-hand books mainly. But that is my big, like, new book, special book haul for a while. That's it basically until, Christmas, I should think, in terms of like a big blowout. So it's nice to have that opportunity to kind of go and do that. I do love it. It's a treat. It's a real treat. It is a real treat to kind of go and do that for my birthday. So if you've read any of these, or like the look any of these, want any more information on them, etc., if you want to see like any reviews, or not reviews, but a bit more of a detailed my thoughts on kind of videos on any of the stuff that I've shown today, then do let me know in the comments. But thank you very much for watching. I will be back soon with more bookish ramblings, but from me, for now, that's ta-ra.